studios in Brea, California, here is the Doyledin podcast.
Welcome back to the Doyledin podcast. It's been, what is it, a month now? The fog has taken over my life for the past month, so it's been kind of hard to keep up with having to do this show, and but we'll get into that. Now that we're back, we're hoping we're gonna be locked in, consistent with it on a weekly basis, and get back to being Doyledin. But yeah, I mean, we had a whole month. And
yeah, well, let's be honest here. It's your fault, right?
It is my fault. It's my fault.
So if you weren't caught up with anything that we're doing on social media, that Drew's doing on social media, or myself, he was in Hollywood Horror Nights at Universal Studios on the terrifying days, right? And it was my first time going, because that's not really my thing. It's not something I'm really into, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. And it was awesome to see you perform and to see you do your thing, and witness what all the hard work was for, and all that, the constant traveling back and forth. So it's not an easy track every day, and while you're doing it, so it was pretty cool to see all that in action, and you did a great job. And with that hard work and effort, you ended up getting
the glass.
The glass.
You can't really see it, but the Halloween Horror Nights 2025 Scare Actor of the Year for the Terrifier house.
That's pretty awesome.
I wasn't an Art the Clown. I wasn't a Vicky. I wasn't a Sienna, obviously. I was the dude who would get his throat slit in the maze. There was a room that a lot of people were calling it the chicken exit, because that's how it was marketed, I guess. And it was kind of a fourth wall break, to where you would go into this room and it's backstage, and you see a scare actor on his break, and Art the Clown comes over and kills that scare actor on his break, and I was that scare actor. So yeah, it was definitely an experience. Before it started, we kept beating around the bush, because there's certain things I couldn't talk about at the time on the show. But now that it's over, it's more
spill the bean.
Yeah, I can spill the beans more, and it's not really, because everybody's seen my face in that spot at this point. But yeah, so at first I was going to be an Art the Clown. They were going to have me be the guy. Not the one in the prosthetics. I would be an Art the Clown in the maze. But then it was the first night that they said, "Hey, we switched your role," and having gone through rehearsals as Art the Clown, and knowing what the role was, I'm gonna be honest, I was a little upset. I'm not gonna be Art the Clown. Like, I was so excited. He's one of my favorite horror characters, and one of my favorite horror trilogy at this point. But now they're gonna have a fourth movie, so I guess it's just a franchise or whatever. But I digress. I was still upset, given the fact I wasn't gonna be Art the Clown, but that doesn't mean anything. It's a role that was given to me, so in my mind I can't back down, because it was given to me. The role that they changed, it was out of my hands, and it was somebody else's decision, and so I had to keep going to find out why was this role given to me? Why was it why did it have to change? I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason, and I believe that I was changed so that I can fully display what I'm capable of, and then in turn taking home the glass. So yeah.
I mean, with the role that you end up being in, it was definitely more of you being able to display your acting ability as opposed to being behind a mask where, there's no it's almost like, same thing with wrestling, you have the lucha libres and they're under the mask, but you can't see the emotions. You can't really get a psychology feeling from them because you can't see the face, you can't see the expressions, you can't see who that person is. And I think with you not being under a mask now, and being your face, that and how you sold it, and just like in a wrestling match, you know how you sold the beating or the knife that you took, every single time, you were selling the shit out of it, and it got it over, and
Yeah.
You got the championship at the end of the match, and
I
congratulations.
finished the story. Finished the
That's it,
story.
man. Finish the story. Yeah, the Cody Rhodes of HHN.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. This is my second year doing HHN. I did HHN 2024. Um, I was a grabber on TerraTram last year, but uh, this year they put me in Terrifier, and if as a horror fan, I couldn't be more excited to be part of that maze, even if it was just being a fucking victim in it. And that was probably another thing too. I was thinking was if I complain, because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like being in this role. I thought this role was so just lame, and I feel like that's probably why I did so well in that role, was because I did everything and anything to not make it lame, to not make it to where people would walk into that room and be like, "What the hell's going on here?" and just be like, just like kind of embarrassed of what they were watching,
Right.
Um, as
And not to cut you off, but again, comparable to the wrestling business, those guys who get the gimmick and they're like, what the fuck is this gimmick, And they go, you know what? I'm going to make the most of it, and end up being the most successful when they really embrace it and entrench themselves in the character, regardless of how they feel. But they know that, hey, I got a job to do. I'm going to be the best damn whatever it is I can be. That's the mentality. The ones who complain and constantly complain and don't put the effort in are the ones that fail, and we've seen that in the wrestling business so many times. But the ones who, like, I mean, I could even tell you, the Undertaker is the probably the best example ever of somebody who was given a character, looking at it and going, "What the fuck? I'm playing a dead person,"
yeah.
and he embraced it and made it the most iconic role probably ever in the wrestling business. And you did the same thing. You embraced it, and you dove into it, and understood what was needed to make it believable, and that's what happened. That's why you got that award.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. I still can't believe it. I've been going to HHN in Hollywood since 2021. That was the first year I went as a guest, and then I just fell in love with the event, kept going, and then figured 2024 was the year I would audition, see what happens. First year auditioning, I get the part, and I'm part of the event, and then the rest is history. I mean, it's crazy to see how fast, I guess, I kind of got this award, considering I've only been doing it for 2 years. And uh I I'm I don't know, I just feel so honored. I feel so honored to have gotten this. And there was only two people who got scare actor of the year. Every venue. So for people who know Horror Nights or who don't, every spot gets two scare actors of the year. So Wyatt Six, that house, got two scare actor of the years. So I was one, and then another guy was one. And so it's still crazy that only two people out of the entire cast got this award. And you know, me being such a Terrifier fan, like it's something that is priceless. Is it like there's only 2 of these made that says Terrifier on it, and it's so crazy to me. Like I think that's more impressive to me than just being scare actor of the year, you know. But that's just because I've, you know, scare acting is kind of just something that's I've accepted in my life now, so it's kind of, you know, not as surprising as it saying Terrifier. I don't know, but it was a journey. Those 2 months felt more than 2 months, but by the end of it, I was like, man, I can't believe it's already over. It feels like it just started. And yeah, there was a lot of self-doubting, you know, like all the negative stuff you could think of. I was thinking of it, and you know, it's what kept me going was all the people coming through that maze, seeing their reactions of what I was doing, me and whoever was killing me, you know, seeing that scene play out, and seeing the reactions of the guests was something that I knew I would appreciate long term, as opposed to where my mindset was at the time of just I just want this over. I just want it to be over. But like I knew deep down, like looking back, it would be something that I I know I would never be able to be in that situation ever again. Like it's a performance of a lifetime is what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is there's no way I'd be able to do this again. Or I would have the chance of doing this again. But
Well, hey, there's always next year. You never know, right? I mean, it all depends what they end up pulling you in for next year.
yeah. So what this entails, and I didn't know this. I'm not even sure if I could say this, but what this entails is I am at the top of the list. Not the very, very top, but I'm going to be one of all the people who got this award this year will be moved up to a higher priority in placement for next year, is what I was told. That's what I was told. And so
there you go.
So if I want to be in a scare zone, you know, like when you went, you saw all the clowns like going around, like I could be there's a higher chance that I could be in a scare zone, something like that. And that is something that I would love to be in, because being in that one spot this year, because mind you, there was only one spot for that character in that house. Um, all the arts that you saw on that house with the mask and whatever, they all were rotated except for the ones in the poop room and the long haired art. All the other arts were rotated. So I wasn't. So I was getting killed by multiple people throughout the whole season, and so it was something that was definitely challenging, because everybody has different styles of how they perform and what they do. So every time I'm up there, I always would have to adapt to whoever's killing me and kind of just be able to do my scene, but also make sure that the art isn't being, you know, the limelight from art isn't being taken away, because it's his house at the end of the day. But
yeah, he's the main character, right?
It was so much went into that scene, and it's for me to say that I hate it, I feel like kind of brings it down a bit, but that's not what I'm trying to say. I didn't like the repetitiveness of it, and I didn't like just how confined I was to where I would only do that for I think I did the math. It was around like almost 5 hours every night. I would be doing that.
That's a repetitive scene, like every 30, 40 seconds.
So yeah, so from the time I start the scene, so from the time I point at them to the time I die and reset, it would take about 16 seconds. So every 16 seconds I was dying on there, and I was up there for 45-minute sets every so 5 45-minute sets and 30 and 2 30-minute sets. So So yeah, so you do the math. I was dying every 16 seconds, and I for 45 minutes straight,
Yeah.
and I was exhausted. It was very exhausting, and that's when I learned it's how important eating and drinking water is, because
Try to tell
like
you.
like that's it. Like I had to just eat like straight carbs at some point, because like my body just had no energy, like, and just eating those carbs was able to burn those carbs off and just get that energy and just keep going. And
Yeah.
it was so crazy. It was such an experience that I'm not sure I'd be able to do that again.
That's a lot.
uh but yeah, it was there were some days where I wasn't in that role. I was in other roles. There was a day they had me be Art the Clown. That was fun. um but yeah, I mean, what did you think when you went as a guest? What did you think of the house as a whole, like excluding any bias?
Yeah, no, like I said, it's not my thing. Didn't get scared or any of that stuff. That stuff didn't. I mean, it was probably one in the I forget which house it was. I think it was the Friday the
Jason.
13th or Jason house or something. I
Yeah,
forget what it was.
Jason
That
Universe.
maybe startled me a little bit, like oh, but I didn't get scared. But the enjoyment I got out of it all, aside from seeing you perform, was listening to everybody else get scared. I was cracking up with that. I mean, just the shrieks and the screams and how just over emotional some of these people got. It was like, holy shit, that was entertaining as
Yeah.
hell, you know. But again, for me, it was just great to be there and hang out and see you perform and go through it with Cullen and just spend the evening there with you and do that. But overall, it's still I respect and appreciate. I mean, all the hard work and effort that goes into the whole look and feel of everything. Because some of the houses and stuff like that were really cool. So the construction and all that was like, wow, they put a lot of
Yeah.
time and effort into the detail here, and I thought it was pretty cool. But overall, I mean, I would definitely recommend. If you're looking for something to do in Halloween, that's the place to go, man. Because it was still a lot of fun, even though again, I don't, it's not my thing. I don't get scared with silly stuff like that. But it was still fun. It was still fun to be there, and it was still fun to walk through and again see all the different mazes. And obviously the Wyatt Sick one was pretty cool to see. How they did it up for WWE style.
I still hate
Um,
that I wasn't able to go through that. I
yeah, I
wasn't.
mean, just the pictures they had. Some talent. The pictures hanging up with the X's through their faces and all that. I thought was kind of cool. But
That's cool.
uh, yeah, but other than that, I mean, it was just a fun experience. Uh, very very busy. Um,
Yeah, this is one of the busiest years they've had since COVID, or
yeah.
yeah, since COVID. So
So I would say, hey, I think you need more houses and mazes.
well, they had eight.
That would help. Hmm?
They had eight total houses,
Yeah, they probably need
mazes.
to bump those numbers up and help spread out uh the lines and everything a little bit more. Because some of these houses, I mean, they were like 2.5 hour wait. You
Yeah,
know,
Five Nights at
crazy.
Freddy's.
Yeah.
But
So
I also think this, I that just is a good display of how popular those properties are. I mean, Terrifier, that being part of that house, I got to see just how busy like it was, because last year I was on Tram. There was a lot of dead moments where nobody's coming through. You're just kind of waiting for people to come through and all this stuff, but got
yeah,
none of that with Terrifier. It was a constant just people coming through, no dead moments in between. And if there were, it's either because there's somebody in a power chair that doesn't know how to drive it that's holding up the fucking line.
right.
um, but yeah, it was almost magical just to just be part of this event and things like that. And there were moments where I was like, I wanted to quit so bad, but deep down I couldn't. That's just not me. I can't do it, And thank God I didn't, because here it is. Here
Yeah.
it is, and to more so display of what I got this whole thing written by, the supervisors and whatnot, and then all this is signed by the supervisors, the show quality people, and all the arts that killed me. So definitely something that is gonna remain a special piece in my Terrifier collection. That
As it should, man.
is,
That's
yeah,
just on full display.
yeah, it's
Awesome stuff
yeah.
for McDonald's.
Yeah, I gotta get signed by the director of the movie, because apparently that he had some hand in creating the maze. So
Okay.
that's, yeah, but
Yeah. Well, you let him know that for the next movie,
if he needs somebody
an
to get his
audition
throat
would
slit,
be an audition would be appreciated.
yeah, if he needs somebody to get his throat slit,
No better guy.
I could be your guy,
Yeah.
but I have a resume.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, I mean, do you got any questions? Anything that you know because you mentioned seeing people scared, and I was thinking of moments that I witnessed people getting really scared, and a lot of them were in my spot, because the scene starts out with me pointing at a guest and being like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Just me pointing at somebody and like looking aggressive would scare people and startle them.
Sure.
I mean, one of the big people that I scared just doing that was like day one, night one, first night open to the public. It was Chris Jericho coming through, and he was just looking around, and then that voice line came up, and it's me pointing at him. He turns and he like gets startled a little bit. He's like, "Whoa, okay." Like he wasn't expecting somebody to point at him and say, "Hey," but that was pretty cool. And then after Chris Jericho, that's when the whole cast was coming through, and being on set when the whole cast was coming through was pretty crazy. Um, eh, but yeah, and seeing some people get scared. I was a bush one night in the Murder of Crows scare zone, and I was like 10 feet from a group of girls, and I was just standing still, and they kept staring at me. It's like, is that a person? Is that a person? Again, they're 10 feet away from me. I would have to sprint to them and they could still get away, And all I did was just put my arms up and wave like this, and then they screamed and ran.
Bushman.
and
Yeah.
and my girlfriend was sitting on a bench watching me be a bush, and and seeing that happen, I just look over and she's just dying of laughter, and I'm laughing too, and I'm just like trying to keep it together. But yeah, it's crazy how just being in that setting gets to people so much, and it's
Yeah.
like they paid to be here. They know they're going to get scared, but they're still
Right.
scared.
Right.
It's just funny to me that psychology. Yeah, but
It's
yeah,
good stuff, man. Hey, you know what? You put the effort and the hard work in. You made it your own, and those 2 months, man, they did fly by. I mean, obviously, when you're in the moment, it's kind of like you're so immersed in it, right? You don't realize the time. It's like anything else that you're heavily involved in. Like you said, once it's gone, it's like, wow, I can't believe it's already over. You know,
yeah.
but yeah, it's good stuff. I really hope that next year you get like one of those top roles on there, and
Who
you
knows?
know you kill it again. I mean, it's a no brainer.
Yeah, there's things there's a chance that I might do it, might not do it next year, and that is
Okay.
that is because doing it shrinks that Halloween season for me,
Right.
and I can't do a lot of things with people that I'd love to do, and especially with my girlfriend and everything, And she's even said, she's like, dude, I don't even care if you do this. Like she any chance she had to be at HHN because she had the pass, she would take that chance and be there just to, be there for me. And
Yeah.
so, but for me personally, I'm like, I kind of want to spend Halloween season doing stuff,
Right.
and I can't do it when I'm doing, HHN,
Yeah.
and it especially hurt this year, especially because I just had a role to where I just kept like all the negative thoughts like you could have, I was getting them, and I was just like, you know, I kept pushing myself, knowing I could probably get something like this, get something like the award. And the funny thing is, I wasn't even I totally forgot that they give out awards at the end of the year until like almost halfway through the season. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, they do give out awards. I completely forgot. And that's kind of when it clicked of like, man, just the way all these people are talking to me and like the way that, they're going about having a conversation with me, more so the supervisors and the people in charge of making sure all the characters are staying in character. Uh, it felt like I was gonna get it, you know, and yeah, I kept psyching myself out of like, no, there's no way I'm gonna get it. Like it's Terrifier and Art has to get it, and I more so psyched myself out to prepare myself in case I didn't get it, but I ended up getting it, and it was a huge moment for me for sure. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's awesome, man.
but yeah, I don't know what they're gonna have next year. And thinking because I'm a scare actor, I would probably know firsthand of what's coming back, but I know just as much as everybody else. They don't, because they know that us scare actors, we have loud mouths, so they don't tell us anything.
Yeah, don't you broadcasting stuff on a podcast or anything.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this is something different. This was me. I got this, I
It's
feel
awesome.
like I earned the right to talk about it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Out the time and effort, and that's part of the reason why you got it too, is the upbeat personality when the supervisors are talking to you, or there's never just like, at least from my understanding, obviously I'm not there, but from everything that you've relayed to me and everything that I witnessed when I was there, it's just there's not you know not that it's not pushback or anything like that, but there's no complaining or you know constant like, oh, I can't make it in today, or can I do this instead, or can you're a team player, and you
mhm.
make it happen and you make it work, and that goes into a lot of consideration for something like that, not just the quality of the performance. It's also, how detrimental or how inspirational are you to the rest of the team as well, and
Yeah.
that carries a lot of weight, so
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean, I told everybody, I tell everybody this, I don't think there's, there's such thing as a bad spot. It's what you make of it. And
right.
if you're not having fun in a spot, it's more than likely the guests aren't going to have fun in that spot either.
Right.
So, you
And
know.
that's 100%. It's just like, again, it's so much like wrestling. Acting in a show or live performance like that is the same as being a pro wrestler. You don't complain. You say, yes, that's my spot. Okay, I'm going to make the best of it like you did. And even if they don't make you a top performer or give you a top spot, they're still going to keep using you to where you're a positive influence on the program or on the product. There's a lot of guys who were, jobbers back in the day, who's like, hey, who am I going up against tonight? Who am I losing to tonight? They knew they were losing. They didn't care. They just knew they had that spot on the card. So it's like, okay, where am I at? What am I doing? And they'd make the most of it, and they'd be constantly used,
Yeah.
and and they got the respect and the admiration of their peers and the upper management, and that's same thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny that you say that because almost at the beginning of every shift, I would always ask my supervisors, "All right, who's killing me today? Who's killing
Yeah.
me today?" Um, and And yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I was honestly thinking the same thing when I was in that spot of like, this is kind of like wrestling. I just got to sell the death, and if if it looks good to me, then it probably looks good to the guests, you know. Another thing too that's just so crazy is I see footage of myself online. Sometimes it's just a video of just me doing my thing, and I look in the comments, and they tell you not to look in the comments, never look at the comments or whatever. But I look at the comments, and I don't see any negative comment about about my performance, my spot. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm just
Sure.
saying it's so crazy to see that I haven't ran across one bad comment or anything about it.
That
And
says a lot, man, because in a world where social media, everybody's critical of something. I mean, you could
exactly.
say that a bus full of kids coming off a cliff, and somebody's going to go on there and shit on you for doing that because you took the job of the firefighters away or something. It doesn't matter what you do
Yeah.
or how great it is. Somebody's going to shit on you. So that says a lot. That's great.
Yeah. So, even after the season's over, now that I can basically say, "Hey, yeah, that was me," in case you didn't fucking recognize my face. Um, even people that are like, "Oh shit, that's crazy that it's you." It's so good that I get to, thank you, because every time I would go through, people would laugh or whatever. So it's cool to see that feedback, and it's trying not to let it affect my ego. Trying to
No,
stay humble, and keep moving forward. Always know I'm at the tippity top, but I'm only halfway there. And
that's right.
it's never gonna end. So I got to keep going. Got to keep going.
That's right. No matter how high on the ladder you get, there's always another rung that you can try and grasp, and
Yeah.
don't stop. So
And I feel
there's
obligated to
more to
come
come.
back next year because of it, because of this.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. You got probably another 6 months or so before you need to even make that decision, right? I mean,
Six
so
months. Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen because look, a year ago from now, I mean, you didn't even know you'd be sitting here with that, So
So
you know,
true. That is
you
very
know,
true. Very
so you just
true.
let the next 6 months play out how they play out, and then you'll be able to see where you are and make that decision.
Yeah. So while I was doing all this, while I was dying up on stage, I had a lot of time to think. And something that I came up with was a project that I want to work on. That'll be next year. It'll be a year-long project. It'll literally take the whole year of 2026, because what I'm going to be doing is getting a camera set up, getting mics and everything, and going to every convention that I could possibly go to within my area, within reasonable distance, with the exception of hopefully San Diego Comic-Con, and basically go there, film my adventure there, maybe interview some people there, and at the end of 2026, clip together this giant video showcasing every convention that I went to, going over the history of it, why it's a convention, how it became a convention, and why it's still going on today, and doing all this like
Yeah,
journalistic stuff
that's
about
awesome. I like it.
conventions. And
I like it.
and yeah, so that's what I want to do for next year, for 2026. That is my big goal, to work on. I think
Awesome.
the first convention would be an anime convention or something, and I'm not an anime person. I saw Chainsaw Man, the movie, recently. I thought that was pretty good, but other than that, I'm not into anime. And even if it's a convention I'm not into, whether it's like a furry convention, I'll still go to it and still, talk about it if it's if within reasonable distance, you know. Um, I don't know. Even if it's
Yeah,
just
there's a
something
couple of
small,
conventions up in LA that I can go to as well for you if you want me to go.
Okay.
It's like 3 X's on it or something. I don't know what it is, but
Oh,
it's
yeah. I will probably be skipping that one. I'll be
yeah.
skipping that convention for sure. But any possible convention I can go to that's the goal. That is the goal. There will be speed bumps along the way, for sure, but that's
Sure, of
okay.
course.
That's
That's
okay.
why, you edit it to how it looks, and nobody sees the speed bumps.
Exactly.
They see the finished product, That's cool. Look
Exactly.
forward to that, man.
Yeah. I just gotta order my camera soon.
There you go. We'll get it rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, so what's the deal? We've missed out on a lot of stuff. I mean, I didn't watch Crown Jewel at all.
I watched a little
Because
bit
I'm
of
not
it.
gonna
Don't remember it.
well, I'm not gonna pay for another freaking subscription.
Yeah.
So dumb. So I'll be watching any of that stuff moving forward. Including my favorite, the Royal Rumble. It'll be the first Royal Rumble I won't see
Wow.
live.
That's crazy.
So that's that is what it is. That's the greed of the new TKO led WWE. And that's what it is. But it's unfortunate. But that's why the houses are down and ticket prices are up and ratings are down. It's because it is just now focused on revenue instead of how to get that revenue, and it's not working. But I digress. Don't want to bag on too much about that stuff, but
Well, no, this is
it's
this is
doing the
stuff that's
product.
bothering you. With
Hmm?
This is stuff that's bothering you with one of your favorite, you know, properties, I guess,
Well, I mean, it's widespread. It's obviously bothering a lot of people because you look back and we've discussed this before, where Vince knew like this is a family avenue of entertainment where you can take your kids. And now it's, no, you can't even afford to take the family now because it's just, you single parent or, whatever it may be. It's just too expensive.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, the price of, $40,000 package to go see WrestleMania is just insane. It's as expensive as the Super Bowl. Uh, and that's, once a year that people save up for, where this is once a month that they have pay-per-views now and PLEs and those costs are just astronomical. And even the cost for Raw. Raw was here in Anaheim a few weeks ago, last week maybe. I don't even know. And you know, I, I thought about going, and I saw the price of the tickets. I'm like, absolutely not. It's insane.
How much was it?
I mean, for nosebleeds, it was over $100. I mean, it was close to $200.
That's
Uh,
insane to think
yeah, you
about.
want some floor, you're looking at almost $500 a ticket. And it's insane. And I can afford to go, but I'm not gonna give in. I'm not gonna bow down to, okay, you want to jack the price up as much as you want, okay, I'll pay it just because I have the money. No, that's not how it works. you know and I think by the design of this, you're getting the empty houses like you are. I mean, they're not empty, but they're not filling them up like they used to. And when you have not very good creative and high prices, I mean, it's going to affect the outcome, right?
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah, the while I'm trying to catch up, I'm not completely caught up. I think I'm missing two weeks of Raw. But what I've seen, I'm just like, these stories kind of just, it feels like I'm watching the same shit every week. It's the same people wrestling each other. It's the same, it's the same kind of matches. Like the last match, it's either gonna be Jey Uso teamed up with some other face against another heel or another team of heels, and it's
right.
just kind of the same shit every week, to where I think it was watching one of the weeks, and I was like, I feel like I've seen this, but like my Netflix thing, it doesn't say that I watched it. So I was like, and then I go back, I'm like, oh no, because this week was similar to this other week, and it was kind of like the same match that just happened, and I was just like, what are you guys doing? And the storylines, like, they're not progressing in any way, shape, or form. There's no hints of it progressing, and talking about the Vision in particular, the build up to them turning on Rollins, there was just no build up at all. It just happened, you know?
Well, I mean, that's understandable though, because Rollins, his injury couldn't be just worked around. He had to have surgery, so that was oh shit, how do we get out of this? Um, we discussed this multiple times before the break, that Braun Breaker was going to turn on Rollins eventually.
Yeah.
Whether he turns heel or face, we don't know. But I think they moved that was the plan anyway, and they moved it up because of Rollins' surgery. And it was to the point where, not just Braun Breaker, but also Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman turning on Rollins. You know, that's obviously brought up, what, 2-3 months ahead of where they wanted to be. Because again, I do strongly believe that was going to be at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
But they had to do what they had to do there. But at the same time, it was still felt like the attack was one thing, and turning on Rollins, but then after that was just kind of like, okay, I still need these guys coming out and beating the shit out of people every week, not being held accountable for anything, make them look dominant, make them look like they cannot be stopped. Who is going to stop them? Instead, what we have is them on the mic into a match, whether they win or lose, and then there's maybe a little bit of action after the bell, So they're still in the same spot they were in when Rollins was there, in my opinion. This didn't help move them forward, which it should have done.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to do that, if you're going to take out the head of the faction, then that should be propelling these guys further up the card and make them more dominant. Now, this past week, it looks like, Logan Paul may have joined them when he turned on Punk. Not that he turned on Punk, not that he was a face, but it looked like he might be helping Punk and turn face. That may help them be more, aggressive and give them more of an edge. But I don't know. Not to keep the same line of, Paul Heyman being, this philosophical dude who comes out and just speaks for them, and then they get a little bit of mic time, and the mic time is not very convincing. And then they either win a match or they lose a match, and there's nothing really like, oh, these guys are must see. These guys are such a threat to the guys that I love that I had to tune in every week, and they're not. They're just, I mean, look, I love Braun Breaker. I think he has a great look to him. When he's going off, he looks great. Sometimes though, this huge running spear doesn't connect properly and makes it look just so like he just tagged somebody instead of actually spearing them, and it kills the vibe of that moment. So there's certain things there that they need to work on hiding instead of focusing more on getting it out there. He doesn't always have to do a spear. That spear should be saved for a special occasion and should only be done when it's, you think, okay, the good guys are coming back and they're gonna, and then here comes that spear. Oh shit. Okay. We forgot he had that, but he uses it every week on somebody, and it's just becoming, and when he doesn't hit it right, it becomes more and more exposed. And, this faction has such a potential to be a DX or an NWO type of faction, but they are just making this to be just meh,
Agreed.
and it's like stuttered and getting Rollins out. Okay, I'm cool with that because, unfortunately Rollins is hurt. I hope I don't see anybody getting hurt. But because of the situation, getting him out of it, I think was good. Have him come back as a face to go up against the Vision, I think is a good thing.
You don't think he'll come after Punk?
Well, because of the injury and because of how he got, attacked, I think when he comes back, I think he'll actually help Punk, and that's like the holy shit. That's like the Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan of the mega powers of the 80s and 90s, actually 80s, geez. To where, the two big rivals come together and they're the hottest thing on TV. And then you have eventually Rollins turn on Punk again. But who's to say? I mean, Paul Heyman looked very, unsure after they attacked Rollins. So maybe, he's just biding his time until Rollins gets better. And once he's healed from the injury and Rollins comes back, Paul is back with Rollins. So who's to know with that one? But,
yeah,
regardless, the vision needs more substance. It needs more sizzle.
Maybe adding Logan Paul into that mix would give it that. 'Cause he's really good on the mic,
It can. But the thing is, it's not just a mic work. They need to be doing shit. They need to be showing up to Raw, running down to the ring during the first match, beating the shit out of both guys for no reason. And then here comes Adam Pearce and a bunch of guys coming down to get them out of the ring, and they're like, screw you, and they walk out, and you're like, what the hell's going to happen next with these guys? Why do they attack randoms, and why are they out of control, and what are they going to do next? And that's what wrestling is missing right now. It's the suspense of anything can happen. You go back to even, that was actually a tagline of Vince's years ago. Anything can happen in the WWF. That's what it was called back then. And that was the whole thing, because back in the days, and I'm not trying to compare it to a certain era and the superstars, I'm trying to say the storylines worked, and you have to continue with the same kind of premise, and that's shock TV in the form of, I didn't see that coming. What's going to happen next? Holy shit, what's going to happen next? But everything is just so, I mean, the whole Logan Paul thing, you could tell, okay, was he going to turn face? Probably not, and then by the time you got down to the ring with Punk there, you kind of like, okay, he's turning on Punk. I mean, it's just so obvious. It's just so like, ugh, and then the whole exchange afterwards with him and Paul was just awkward. It just didn't, like, is he with them or is he not? But it just felt awkward. Not that I was more intrigued to see what was happening. It was more like, what is going on?
Yeah.
In a sense of, this doesn't feel right, So again, it's just the lack of house shows, and WWE got rid of all the house shows and they only do TV and PLEs now, hurts the product, and it hurts the talent, because they're not getting that extra work in during the week where they're traveling and feeling out the crowds and feeling out certain storylines and gimmicks to a non-televised audience. But that's, again, the nature of the business now, with no house shows and
I didn't know
down.
that. I didn't even know that they had house shows.
Oh yeah, the house shows was that was how you made your money. I mean, you do your whole loop where you go and you do 4 days a week in house shows, and then you do your TV, and you have a day of travel and a day of rest, and then back at it. And then you moved into 2 nights of TV a week, and then.
And those house shows, they were nothing important was happening on those, or like.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. House shows are so important, because that's where you.
But they just weren't televised.
They weren't televised. Sometimes they would record them just for their own sake, and there's archival footage of house shows. But like Bret Hart won the WWF title the first time on a house show from Ric Flair.
Wow.
And they recorded that because they knew obviously it was going to happen. And, sometimes they would actually change a belt on a house show. But it was very. We would only do it for certain reasons, if somebody was leaving or if somebody got hurt or stuff like that. But the purpose of a house show is to get more work in, number one, right? Obviously, and get the revenue in, right? But also, let's say you and I are going to do a program. Well, let's go do a house show first. Let's work some things. Let's see. Hey, if I do this in the match, you think that'll get over? Let's try it in front of the house crowd and see what the response is. Oh, that didn't go over so bad. Well, let's not do that on TV. So stuff like that. And this, you and I are working the next 4 towns, house shows, dark matches. They're just dark. And there's no response from the crowd. Okay, we scrap it. We're not going to do that on TV. New program. Maybe it's because of me, so they'll take me off and put somebody else with you, and maybe that'll work better. And
That's interesting.
So that's how you could gauge a lot of things back in the day. And I say back in the day, it's only like a couple of years ago. But that was a great way to gauge.
That. That's crazy.
But of course, you have a truck with all the gear that you got to travel with, and then you got all that travel expenses from town to town. So there's definitely overhead, and in a climate where you're jacking prices up, and you're not even filling TV houses, it doesn't make sense to keep doing them because you're not going to fill the dark houses either. But that's their own fault because they're jacking the prices up.
Yeah.
So, they can blame the lack of ticket sales, but it's due to them with their ticket prices. And, it's one of those things where, can't have your cake and eat it,
Yeah, 100%. And it's, I don't know. I think a lot of it can be compared to like theme parks as well, to where you look at Disneyland,
Right.
You can't take your family to Disneyland. Like if you're just your average family living in wherever the fuck, it's too expensive. And they keep raising their price. I think they just raised their price up by like $10 or whatever. I don't fucking know. But they raised their price.
How much is it they pass for Disney these days? I don't even know.
Let me take a look. Let's look it up.
Because then you got to remember while you're looking that up. You got to remember too, whatever the cost is. Then you got food, which is not cheap.
Yep.
And water, especially here in Southern California, where you got to stay freaking hydrated because it's so hot during the summer here.
No.
And of course in Florida, the same thing with those theme parks. And water is probably about $6 a bottle. I mean, for water, for the most natural resource next to air. But you can buy a bottle at the store for $1. Even that's kind of crazy, but okay, it's palpable.
So if I wanted to go to Disneyland today, right now, for the park hopper ticket, so I'd be able to go to Disneyland and California Adventure. This doesn't include tax, parking, or anything. $174.
Okay. I thought it was more than that, but
well,
okay. But is that because you're a California resident, or is that? I think it's more.
It doesn't say, but it's not. But tomorrow's price is $249.
Oh, so same day price because they're trying to get more people in for that day.
I think it's on non-peak days because all next week is $174 except the weekend and stuff like that. So
unbelievable.
Yeah, but
so for the weekend,
the week of Thanksgiving, all the tickets are $314.
Wow.
Yeah.
$314 to go to Disneyland.
Park hopper ticket, yeah.
I don't give a shit what kind of ticket it is. And then probably you would say at least $200 on food.
Yeah.
Because, each meal is at least $25.
But these are also, so this is the price of the ticket. It's the price of the ticket if you're 10 years or older, which whatever. But because they have another ticket, like a kid's ticket, but I didn't look at the kid's ticket because I don't think it's really that important.
Yeah.
But
it's probably $50 cheaper, which is still nothing. I mean, when you
yeah,
the grand scheme of things, it's absolutely nothing. That's insane. That's just, you know. So now, does it say on there? Okay, let's say I'll get the pass instead. I'll get the yearly pass. What are we looking at for that?
the yearly pass.
Yeah.
You don't want to know.
Oh, I do now.
Well, they're on sale.
Oh
They're,
shit.
they're on
Okay,
sale.
they're on sale, so you don't have to get a high interest loan. Okay.
But okay, so this is how it's because with Universal it's silver, gold, platinum, diamond, or whatever, right? But with with Disneyland, the lowest tier is called, because they call their passes magic keys,
Oh, of course.
and so the lowest one is the Inspire key. Or no, that's the highest one, is the Inspire one, because it's the only one that comes with parking. But it's not showing me. Okay, here we go. So the Inspire key, the highest one,
The top of the top, the big dogs.
$1,899,
What? Almost $2,000.
and it's gonna have 150 monthly for 12 months after a $100 down payment.
So with taxes, you're talking $2,000.
Pretty
You were
much.
talking just over $2,000.
Yes.
Because California taxes are ridiculous.
And it's
So
so funny too, because next to their prices it says, well, you'll be able to it'll pay for itself in 11 visits. 11 visits, it'll pay for itself. But
yeah,
that is them saying that the tickets are currently priced at 174, which is not every day.
right. But that's the once you buy the pass, the year pass, that's what it breaks down to as far as an everyday price.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're getting that break, but that's still insane, and that's
And you also get your discounts and whatever, but you still have to reserve a day. Like, it's not like you can just go whenever. You have to reserve a day if you have a pass.
what
Yeah. You can't just show up with
we
your
had
pass.
passes. We had passes years ago,
Yes, we did.
and you could just go whenever. But now you have to reserve a freaking day.
Yes.
That's just insane.
Yeah, it's the only theme park that does it like that, is you have to reserve a day.
This is why I don't do anything Disney. It's total garbage. It's total just absolute garbage.
You want to know how much the cheapest one is? And it's only SoCal can only get this pass. It's going to be $600, $599 for a yearly pass to Disneyland. And so it's a $100 down payment with $41.67 a month.
And what does that get you though? That doesn't include parking. That does not include.
It doesn't include parking. You can only have 2 reservations at a time. You get a 10% discount on dining and merchandise, so it pays for just the tax.
Yeah.
And yeah, you still have to pay parking.
Absurd. And there's thousands of people that'll pay it.
Thousands of people that'll pay it.
Just because it's Disney. And this is where WWE thinks that they're going to grab the same audience, and it's not true. It will not sustain. I'm telling you right now, it's already reflecting on house shows, or not house shows, on the TV shows. SmackDown had the lowest rating in history, right? 933,000 viewers.
Oof.
And it's already, if people aren't watching on TV, they're not going to spend that money to go and for 3 hours and spend that kind of money. You know, I'll say this, at least with Disney, you're getting a whole day, right? If you're spending that kind of money. But with WWE, it's 3 hours, and with just that awful, the bad storylines and the not so great performers these days, because there are some on the roster.
Bailey.
You know, it's just not it's just not worth spending any money, in my opinion.
I can't stand the stuff that's going on with Bailey right now.
Yeah, I mean, her and Lyra just had another tag match, and they lost. I think it was they lost this week. But yeah, it's just like, okay, so what are we doing? You know, when you're given hints of somebody turning and you don't do anything, and it just continues to be the same, you know, drivel every week. It's just kind of like, okay, I'm not waiting any longer to see what happens. I'm moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And you know, I always hate to say, well, you know, with Vince, you know, but with Vince, he would at least give you a payoff. He would at least, you know, here's where it's going, and get ready for the payoff. And you'd be like, holy shit, you know, is it going to happen or is it not? And you would get your answer. You know, he understood TV. He understood the home audience and the live audience, you know, and they play hand in hand. And if you don't have a good live audience to where they're popping on stuff and they're, you know, wrestling fans, it doesn't translate well to people watching at home, and it doesn't entice them to want to go see it.
Yeah.
You know, you go back to look at WCW when they used to do the studio. They used to actually do their shows at Universal Studio lot back in the day. And so basically, it was like a ring in the middle of a little studio, and the majority of the fans are people who are at the park to see Universal Studios. And it's just another attraction. And that was the deal that Eric Bischoff had made. I believe it was Bischoff that got the deal. And it was great because it would fill up the studio, as small as it was. You know, you'd probably got, I don't know, 500 people in there. So it would look packed. But the problem was, you have people who don't even know anything about wrestling. They're just walking through the park. Hey, there's a wrestling show going on. You want to go see it? Okay, cool. But they don't know who to cheer for. They don't know who to boo unless they're told. And sometimes they would tell them. And halfway through a match, some of these people would understand. Oh, that's the heel. That's the, you know, the face. Not that they understand the terms, but that they get it now. Oh, I'm supposed to cheer for this guy or that guy. So on TV, it wasn't coming across great, so ratings wouldn't be that good. And what we're seeing right now is, if you look at Raw, if you look at SmackDown, the audience, there's a lot of matches where people, especially the first 4 or 5 rows, are just sitting there watching, and that does not translate well on TV. And if you want me to part with my money, if I'm a diehard wrestling fan and I want to go to see the shows, I want to see people already having fun at these shows and going crazy. And that was a huge thing back in the day with, if you look back at the Attitude Era with Austin and Rock, there was always something going on that made the crowd go, holy shit. And you see that crowd go nuts, you want to be a part of that crowd. You want to be there with your sign. You want to be there doing your thing. But, you know, I don't even barely want to watch it on TV anymore because it's just not intriguing. It's just the same shit. And I honestly think they dropped the ball this past week with Logan Paul and Jey Uso. I really think they had a chance to do a double turn. And you should have had Jey Uso turn on CM Punk. Whether he joins the Vision or not, I really don't care. And then here comes Logan Paul down to the ring, and he saves Punk, and he is now your big baby face. And I think that he could be, to this era, what The Rock was to the late 90s, because he's got the look, he's got the charisma, he's got the talent in the ring. He's hell of a dude on the mic. I mean, so good. and everybody hates him, just like The Rock when The Rock first came in and was part of the Nation of Domination after he was Rocky Maivia. They hated him because this guy's funny, this guy's cool, but he's not on my team. And as soon as he got on their team, fucking biggest baby face around.
That's crazy.
And because now he's that's my guy. And if they had done that with Logan Paul this past week, I'm telling you right now, they'd already be sold out of t-shirts. But I think they dropped the ball big time on that.
Why do you think they didn't?
I don't know. I think that they have plans down the line that they've made ahead of time. Maybe for 6 months, maybe for Mania already. And I think they've become complacent and set in their ways. And unlike with Vince, where Vince would change things if it made sense. And I guarantee you, I don't want to say that, I know how somebody thinks, but I believe that if Vince was there, that he would be a top babyface right now. And it's funny to see so many people, the internet wrestling community, just, man, I miss Vince, man, and all they did was shit on Vince for so long. And when the whole lawsuit thing came out, and they wanted to peg him with certain names, certain slurs and all that, where what two consenting adults do between themselves is their business. But Vince was the bad guy. Vince was this capitalist. He's a billionaire, so we got to hate
rich.
him. He's rich.
He's an asshole.
But now they've realized, nobody can promote wrestling like Vince McMahon can, and nobody will ever be able to do it. I don't think like Vince McMahon could. Whether you like him or not, I really don't care. But it's definitely a different way of doing it now. I just don't like it. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's not for me. And
how much of it do you think is outside of Triple H's control? Because we had Triple H, probably one of the top dogs, for a while.
Right.
You would think Vince would maybe teach him a thing or two, or he would be able to learn a thing or two. So, do you think that all these creative decisions are outside of his control, and it's more so somebody more powerful than him, or what do you think the deal is?
I mean, if you go back to the Cody Rhodes Rock turn with John Cena, that was out of Hunter's control. I don't think that was something that Hunter wanted to do. Okay. And that was evident by the comments that he made for it. But you could tell that was definitely not something that even made sense. And I think WWE realized that after it fell apart and it did not go the way that Rock wanted it.
You're saying Cena turning heel, not the Rock and Cody feud, or are you talking about everything?
I'm talking about everything.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily saying, I don't know if Rock had anything to do with Cena's heel turn, but definitely the way it went down, I think so. But I think WWE realized after the fact, hindsight 2020, that giving The Rock so much power to, get inside with storylines, influential with storylines, is not a good thing. He's a stockholder. He needs to, be the business guy on things, whatever he's involved with there, but stay away from creative.
Yeah.
Hunter, on the other hand, he was, if you go back to before, this whole takeover, he's involved in creative. Not so much when I was there, but over the last 10, 15 years, he has been. And he's got a great mind for the business. And I do believe that, he's got a lot of power in the company because of his position. But I think he also realizes that, there's only so much he can do, because at the same time, he can be replaced. He's not a board member. Uh, he's not. I mean, he may own stock in the company still. I'm pretty sure he does. But as far as being replaced in this role, that can happen at any time. And all it takes is a vote on the board. And if he's not giving the board what they want, that's what will happen to anybody. I mean, they voted Vince McMahon out one time, before he came back, and then he resigned again, But you lose a vote of confidence from the board in a public traded company, and you're done. And, I think Triple H knows that, and I think he, again, has a certain amount of power, and it only goes so far. And I think, unfortunately, right now we have people who are more on the Hollywood entertainment side of things instead of the wrestling entertainment side of things.
Yeah.
There's two different animals, what works for, movies and stuff does not work for pro wrestling, because pro wrestling is a live event show that you have to pivot every week if something doesn't go right, based on the crowd reaction, based on ratings. Where a movie is, you film it, put it in the can, put it out to the audience, and
if they don't like it, oh well,
you move on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
Wrestling is surviving every week on last week's product, and that's just the way it is. So, I remember, being there, and one bad segment in a show, and Vince would be irate. I mean, we were the top promotion. We had just bought WCW.
That's crazy.
There was nobody else to combat with. And ratings were decent, getting all the money, but one little bad segment from anybody, and he was livid, because he knew and understood, well, if my audience tunes in for that one segment,
they're not going to want to watch again.
Yeah. So, it's like in anything. You're only as good as your last, whatever it is. If you're in sales, you're only as good as your last sale. If you're in, sports, you're only good as your last win, It's all about the next one. And you got to keep moving forward. And WWE right now, I think they're just comfortable with, hey, we have these deals with Netflix. We have this deal with ESPN, all this money coming in, this storyline to us sounds good. Let's just throw it out there. I don't think there's the full on brainstorming that needs to go into long-term storytelling, with the caveat of, well, if it doesn't work, what else do we have? Where do we go? And you have to have that. You have to have your plan B when it comes to storylines, because, again, if the crowd reaction isn't there, if the ratings aren't there, you're screwed. And especially when you're charging up the ass for these tickets, it's not something that I think they can sustain long term. And
I mean,
something's got to change.
At this point, you would think it's the best time for AEW or even TNA to kind of take advantage of these high ticket prices, of how spread out everything is at WWE, and to just say, fuck it, you guys want old school wrestling? Well, we got old school wrestling. But no, instead here's some fucking, here's John Moxley hitting somebody with a fucking, one of those light tubes or whatever. And I'm just like, that's like, what is this shit? It's,
right.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about, but
I totally agree. This right now is, you are 100% correct. Right now is a perfect opportunity for a promotion to create superstars and intriguing storylines. But AEW, yes, the product is awful. I mean, I've tried so hard. I even, like I said before, I reached out to AEW, would love to help creatively, but they are doing a great job. I don't need any help from anybody because they are so good. Where they can't fill a house, their ratings are worse than WWE. Their ticket sales are worse than WWE. I think TNA actually might be doing better ratings wise than them.
That's crazy.
But
But I know TNA is owned by TKO, right? As well. Or
TNA, I think they did I think they did.
so it's kind of like owned by the same
But TNA,
monster.
but TNA, they got a whole different, creative and stuff like that, and you got different talent there, and it's pretty decent. It really is. If they had a bigger budget and a bigger platform, they could definitely be competitive with WWE as far as their product goes.
Yeah.
AEW has the platform, they have the production, they have the talent. A lot of those guys on there so good, a lot of those girls so good. Just creatively, it's just they've got some decent creative going on, but it always ends up with a terrible payoff. And when you finally do see, oh, okay, and then you go, oh, what the hell happened to that? And just like where did that go? And then you have the stuff like with Moxley, who's just so bad. I mean, I don't understand what happened there with him and why he is this character. I don't know if he's trying to be a new age Cactus Jack or Abdul the Butcher. I don't know what he's trying to do, but it's not entertaining.
It's not working.
A very, very small audience. It's who like gore for no reason. But other than that, it's
Hey,
not
why are you looking
wrestling.
at me?
Well, I mean, it's definitely not. It's definitely not on the level of the stuff that you watch as far as horror movies and stuff like that. At least it's
At least
done
that
correctly.
stuff is fake and it's not real people getting hurt and
Yeah,
like,
it's just.
I don't know.
I mean, you can't even compare it to a horror movie. You can't even compare it to that stuff. I'm talking about like like you're sticking pizza cutters into people's heads and pushing people's face into buckets of water to simulate drowning them on live television. And then people want to say, well, back in the day, Steve Austin showed up to Brian Pillman's house and Brian Pillman had a gun and they give the idea of him shooting. And it's like, so there was a storyline done where you're going to somebody's house, and in real life, you go to somebody's house and you protect your family. You have a weapon, which is your Second Amendment right. And it was done correctly and tastefully. And it was very well done. But dragging somebody and beating the shit out of them in the middle of a ring and then trying to drown them for no reason other than you just don't like the guy, which is criminal.
I gotta see this.
It's a lack of morals and ethics, and it's horrible. It's distasteful, and there's no place, in my opinion, in pro wrestling for this kind of shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this clip of somebody being drowned.
It was like a glass case of water. So because you had to be able to see his face, you have to see his face when he drowned. Couldn't be a bucket. So that was the creative process there.
There's people booing.
Well, because it's happening to a baby face.
Yeah, but
I guess.
But the boos aren't even. the boos are like, so enthusiastic.
Right. Yeah. Oh well, that's what happens when you have half a crowd. It's bad. But AEW again, great talent. So many guys on there that potential superstars, and they keep adding titles. I don't know how many titles they have now. They just added another one last night. And apparently it was a title that they got rid of 2 months ago, but now they brought it back as this new title. I don't, that's what I was reading. But when you have so many titles, it dilutes the importance of a championship.
Yep.
Because now everybody's got one.
Yep.
So what does it matter? And you know, when you don't have the storylines to go with the importance of a championship, you bring in more championships. Because now you can hide behind those and say, well, this is a championship match. But what does it mean? You know, why does this guy want this championship? There's 7 others that he could take his pick from. Why this one? You know, and why is this guy the champion?
Yeah.
Because he won it because the other 6 were taken. You know, there's no importance. There's no, it's just so terrible. And
so it just it's like unseasoned chicken. It's just like, give me something. Like you have the you have everything you could ever want to make something good, but you just don't use the resources correctly. And yeah, it's a little upsetting. It's a little disappointing. But
well, it's like, you know, you have your world champion and maybe your mid-card champion and your tag team champions. And we're in this age of where everybody needs a trophy, right? I mean, that's just basically what it is. It's like you have all these younger generation wrestlers backstage, but I want to be a champion, but why am I not getting that spot? Why? And that's what they're doing. They're trying to appease these people. But well, we'll create a new championship, and then you can have that one. And then we might take it off you in the future, but at least you'll have it for now. And then this guy over here is crying, and okay, we'll get you a championship too, little Johnny.
Don't worry.
Everybody gets a championship because that's the way that, with the world we live in now, and it's just diluted the whole industry. So you got to scale it back and say, you know what, new era. If you brought me into AEW today, I would create a whole new fucking era, and I would get rid of half the championships. And you would have your world champion, you would have your mid-card championship, and you would have your tag champions. And that is it. And you would have guys who would go out on TV, maybe win every now and then, but for the most part, they would be losing to put guys over. If you don't like it, there's the door. This is the wrestling business. This is how it goes.
Yeah.
Just like with anybody at HHN. This is your spot. Whether you're winning or losing, it doesn't matter. You do the right thing and go along with it and understand it's for the better of the product, which is everybody involved. Then that will help you in the future escalate. Like Barry Horowitz, he was the guy in the 80s who jobbed at everybody. You knew when he came out every week, you knew he was losing. Doesn't matter who he was fighting. But you would watch it because he would come out and he would pat himself on the back. He would do this thing, and he would act like a freaking champion. But you knew he was going to lose. He didn't come out like this all sad face, pouty. I'm losing again this week. Who am I going against?
Yeah.
And stand in the corner waiting for the bell to ring just so he can get his ass kicked. He would come out there and he would act like he was going to fucking win the world title, But you knew he wasn't going to, and that's fine. And then what happened? He did that for years, got paid, and then finally they said, hey, we're putting you over tonight against Skip from the Body Donnas, who was Chris Candido. And it was like, what the fuck? So he went out there, had a match against Skip, went over, the whole place went, holy shit. This guy's been jobbing for he hasn't won a match in 8 years. He's never won a match in WWE, WWF. And now here we go on Raw, and he beats Chris Candido, and it's like, holy shit. And that's how you get interest. And it's like, holy moly. So now he's got this thing now where he's now on a winning streak. So 8 years of a losing streak, now he's going to be on that didn't last that long because, again, he's not that huge of a talent and all that, but it was a good storyline to give to somebody who was being a good soldier for 8 years. and was a big part of the product. Even though he lost every week, he was an established part of the product. And a lot of these guys these days don't understand that they think they have to be winning matches. Like, I would love to, if I was a part of the industry now, I would love to be out there and get my ass whipped every week, as long as it's getting somebody over.
Yeah.
Even when I was a manager, I always wanted to be the guy who got my ass kicked. Not the wrestlers that I'm managing, kick my ass.
Yeah.
Because that protects the guy that I'm managing from him getting his ass kicked. So it makes him look stronger. But it also puts the guy over who's kicking my ass, because everyone wants to see me get my ass kicked. So it puts that guy over too. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build people up. The more we build people up,
the better it is for everybody.
the better it is for everybody, the better the product is.
Yeah.
But if we all sit around and bitch and complain and say, well, why am I not getting this, or why am I not getting that?
You can't be selfish.
You can't.
It's
Now, you
showbiz.
can-
It's entertainment, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can go ahead and pitch stuff. And as long as it makes sense, it's going to happen. I'm not saying you should sit there and just take whatever shit they give you all the time. Well, if you're going to complain about it, you better have something better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do this because here's an idea here. Well, that idea doesn't work, so we're still going to go with this. Okay, I'll come back with a better idea. But if you're ever going to bitch about something, or you're ever going to say, I don't want to do this, then you better offer something that's even better.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have nothing to stand on. And a big part of that too is people will bitch and complain. And it's like, well, what else do you have? Well, I don't have anything else. Okay, so I have to come up with everything. I've already come up with this, which is a spot on the show for you. But now you don't want that. You want something better, but you can't tell me what that better is. So now you want me to come up with something else for you. I've already come up with something for you. Now you gotta prove to me that you're capable of at least doing this, so then we can go and do something better. But no, in today's world, where's my spot? I deserve this. I deserve that. I don't have a championship. Where's my championship? You know, we got a locker room full of Veruca salts who fucking think they're fucking owed everything, right?
Yeah.
And nobody wants to fucking work for it. It's like, god damn.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
But so
and you know, a lot of what you're saying, I'm what's the word? I'm relating it to, HHN, to where, like, a lot of people would love to be part of WWE, just like a lot of people would love to be part of HHN, and then you have those certain people that just, they get put in a certain spot and they're like, this spot sucks. Well, then why are you here? Like, why are you here? There's no such thing as this spot sucks. It's either you can do it or you can't.
Right.
Don't blame the spot. Don't blame this or that and this, and you get what you get. And if you don't want it, we'll call somebody else in that'll be more than happy to do this shitty spot that is so bad that you can't even do it. And
Right.
and so, and there's
But
people,
I get it.
There's people I've talked to, in HHN, that they beat themselves up so much, or they give up on a certain spot and whatever, and and they kind of just are like, it's not for me, and which is fine, that's totally fine.
Sure.
But and especially if you give it a shot, and if you give it a shot and you're like, I just can't do it 100%, like I totally get it. But it's like you said, you don't like it. Well, why don't you like it? I don't know. It's just not for me. Okay, but what will make it for you?
Right.
And then it has to get into that. Well, it would be better if I was in a top spot. Well, then you're not understanding the business. You're not understanding what we're doing here. If you just want the number one spot all the time, you want the spot that everybody wants.
Right.
There's
only so many spots.
Exactly. It's just like,
You got to prove why you're entitled to it.
Exactly. And you can't just go around with that attitude of like, well, I deserve this spot because everybody else has this spot, so why can't I? Well, those people have earned it, and maybe you should look up your history on why those people have those spots. Talk to those people, you know,
Yeah.
you know, take a history lesson of their journey to that spot, you know, and it's sometimes there are those rare instances where things just get thrown into your lap and it's yours,
Sure.
but you know those are so rare, and most of those, you know, it gets thrown into your lap, but a lot of people just don't know what to do with it, and then it just wastes away and nothing happens, you know. And I don't know. I totally understand what you're saying, and everything you're saying is I'm just relating it to HHN, and it's kind of crazy how this episode has just been comparing WWE to horror nights, but it's
all entertainment, right? It's
yeah,
the same thing. I mean, and especially with the horror nights because it's live.
yeah,
There's no hey, take two. No, you're live.
yeah,
Okay, so you got to figure it out as you go.
yeah.
You make a mistake, you gotta get back on that horse and keep going, while also processing shit. I can't do that again. I gotta, you know, same thing with WWE.
And
There's guys
most of the time, those mistakes, people don't even know. People don't
they
even know
don't
their mistakes until you tell them their mistakes.
right
You know,
exactly
there was a time that, you know, I fell once on stage at HHN. I didn't fall on anybody. I fell on the stage that I was standing on. I went to go do my scare, slipped and fell. Nobody asked if I was okay or anything. Nobody knew that that was an accident.
right
Just get back
right.
up and keep going. Who cares? You know, you know, and it's I feel like it's those moments that show you of like whether or not you could you could perform in front of live people, you know. Because like there it could have been where like, oh, I'm so embarrassed, let me jump off set and like process it for a little bit, but now it's just you got to keep going. I feel like I'm
But
sorry,
now,
I'm getting a little off topic.
could you imagine? Okay, let's put it like this, right? You got the scare actor of the year, right? Now you can imagine 4 or 5 of those other actors going, "Fuck what? I'm not getting that." Oh well, we'll create another little trophy for you guys. We'll get the Tuesday scare actor of the year. And Johnny, you were pretty much on Wednesday, so we'll do the Wednesday scare actor of the year too, right? We'll have one for each day. That way, you guys. Oh, okay, cool. I mean, that's the way the fucking wrestling business is now.
No comment.
You want a title for this, a title for that, title for this. I mean, it's just absolutely nonsense. You know?
No comment to that. I can't respond to that. There's some things I would like to tell you off camera, but
I think I hit the nail on the head then. But that's the society we live in now. Everybody, if I didn't win something, it's your fault, and I'm upset, and you have to bow down to me being upset because I didn't work hard enough to be number one.
yeah. I will say though,
Because I've got
everybody
anxiety, and I couldn't handle the pressure of having to get up at 7 in the morning, and then I had to go through traffic.
yeah.
Do you see the traffic on the freeway? Oh my God, I have to deal with that. That's like 45 minutes of my life. And then I had to get here, and then I had to walk from my car. I mean, that's probably like quarter of a mile.
Not to mention, I before I got in the elevator, I forgot my wallet in the car, so I had to go back to the car.
I think yeah.
Now,
On my phone, and I
will,
can't go without my phone because that's how I tell everybody in the world how I feel.
I will say everybody was very um nobody was bitter that I got the award. Everybody was very supportive and very just I don't know. Like I had nobody that was coming up to me saying, I don't know how the fuck you got that award, you know?
Right.
So that's not what I'm trying to say. But
No.
you know, and stuff like that. But it's more so of just got to do the fucking job. If you want to do this, if you want this job, you got to do it. You can't just fucking half-ass it. You can't just, you know.
When you were talking earlier about performance, and you could tell that you're into the character, and that you were there was some people in some of the houses, and I'm not trying to knock them. I'm just saying you could tell that they weren't really into it. It wasn't They were just doing it just to do it. It was their job, and they're paid to be there, and they're just doing it. Some of the best you talk to some of the best wrestlers, man. Me included, as a kid growing up. I used to get in front of the mirror. I used to cook promos on myself. I used to fucking all the time. I mean, my neighbors would even tell you, they could probably even hear me next door. And I'd play the wrestling music really loud, and I'd cut it, and I'd be cutting a promo then in the middle of the parlor room in my mom's
do you
house.
still do it?
Sometimes I do.
Hell yeah.
When I think of a good storyline, and I'm in the bathroom washing up or whatever, in our shower. Well, how would that work? And I'd be in the mirror and I'd be like, that's how I do it. Yeah, that would work. Yeah. Because I can't go, well, they should be doing that. That's just stupid and then just think I'm right. There's plenty of times where I've cut a promo on myself and I'm like, nah, that's stupid. It wouldn't work. And that's fine.
That's awesome.
That's how you keep yourself in check, and that's how you keep yourself. But even in a meeting, when I was going to business meetings, when I'm going into anything to do with having a conversation with another person, a lot of times I practice in the mirror. Absolutely. I used to practice my ring announcing in the mirror when I used to ring announce for UPW, my managing stuff, for UPW and other stuff. Even when I'm going to go into this meeting in WWE tomorrow. I'm creative. I'm going to pitch this. Holy shit. Okay. In the mirror. Here we go. Absolutely. Everybody should do that. Everybody should do that. That's how you get comfortable with yourself. And that's how you get comfortable with, talking, and not just in front of people, but even though you're only talking to yourself, you at least get some of those things out of your head.
Yeah.
Because some people think, like, when I'm talking in front of people, they might be looking at me because my face is like this. Well, go in front of a mirror, see how your face is. And if you don't like it, change it.
Exactly.
But pitch the shit that you want to pitch, or be who you want to be, So absolutely, so even to this day, if I know I'm going to be talking to a vendor or a customer about something, I'll give it a shot in front of the mirror first, make sure I have it down, and make sure I'm not looking like a fucking retard.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I do that as well. I'll auditions or anything like that. I do that same shit.
Yeah.
You have to. You got to see how you are, because you're your own worst critic. You're your biggest critic, and if you're not your biggest critic, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, if you don't think you can do any wrong, then you're already wrong. Bless
Exactly.
you. But no, I'm getting back to the whole point of it was, these guys, they got to practice on the off days. They got to be doing that in their spare time. You're washing your hands, even on lunch break, whatever it is. If you're going to be in a role, you got to be practicing. Backstage, I don't know how to do it now, but it's all scripted, right? It's all, here's what you're going to say verbatim tonight out in the ring. That's my understanding. Again, I'm not uncreative now, so I don't know. But back in the day, hey, I'd give Undertaker bullet points, Rock bullet points, Austin, whoever it is, Angle, whoever, Hardy's, bullet points. Some people you wouldn't need to tell them, hey, you got to hit this line for sure.
Yeah.
But they'd be backstage walking down the hallway. They'd have it in their hands and they'd be talking. Bum, 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 bum. They'd be talking to themselves, just walking up and down the hallway, looking at it, getting it down. They go, hey, come here real quick. They call you over. How's this? Bum, bum, bum. That's great. Or, that's kind of shitty. Oh, shit. Okay. All right. Back to it. Walking up down the hallway, 5-10 minutes. Going over the bullet points, going over the script, whatever it may be. But they're putting the effort in to get the mannerisms down, to get, everything, facial expressions, the tone, everything down before they go out there. And, I can see that that's something that you did but you could tell, there's guys out there who just, okay, so I got to do this. Okay, cool. I'll do it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the wrestling business.
There were some people, one guy in particular who I think was my favorite art that I got to work with. But I said, fuck it, we're on our break. I have all the Terrifier movies. Let's throw on a Terrifier. Let's throw on the first Terrifier movie, watch it on our break. Watching Terrifier on our break at the Terrifier house at Halloween Horror Nights. So I put it on, and Art shows up on the screen, starts doing little shit that Art does, and I look over, and the dude that I'm mainly talking about, he's trying to mimic those mannerisms that Art's having, like immediately. Immediately once he sees him on screen, he's trying to mimic and trying to like be Art and like try it out,
Yeah.
and I look at him, and he kind of got all shy, and I was just like, just trying to, I'm like, nah, dude, do your thing. This is what we're here for. Like, go ahead,
Yeah.
Um, don't be embarrassed to do that,
Right.
because you're just trying. What you're doing there is trying to improve upon yourself and improve upon your performance. That's what that's telling me. That's not telling me that you're a fucking jerk off trying to mimic this
Right.
character. No,
Right.
it's telling me that you care enough that you're gonna sit here and do that and try
We'll get it back.
and better yourself as this character.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people they get too in their head about some things, and I feel it's very it's very easy to do that, especially now. You got cameras everywhere, and there were times when I'd see a video and it's a different performer in my spot, and everybody's clowning on the performer, everybody's making fun of the spot, and it's because I mean, to be honest, the videos I've seen, some of them were pretty rough. And and it's that sort of thing of like, you can't think of that. You just got to keep going. You got to get into your own head and not try and get into everybody else's head and see what they're thinking about, because that's just going to kill you. That's just going to eat you up,
Absolutely.
So I don't know.
Agreed.
I feel like I'm getting off topic from what you're talking about.
No. I mean, I got off topic. I led you down the path right there, but my point initially, 10 minutes ago was, you know, was, a lot of these guys don't want to put the effort in to be that number one. They want that spot, they want that title, but they don't want to put the effort in, to get there. They think that, oh, okay, I know these moves, I know how to wrestle. Some of them do.
And I have muscles. I have this.
Yeah, but they don't work on the art of selling. They don't work on the art of the promo. They don't work on the art of, facial expressions, which are so big in the wrestling business. And you go back and you look at the top dogs in this business, and they work so hard to give those 5 minutes in that match on Raw or Nitro, whatever it was. But those 5 minutes don't replicate what they were doing behind the scenes, which is, hours of, psychology and hours of learning promos and hours of studying the guys before them. And, there's this generation, they just think they're the shit, and they think that,
they're not
I
even the
deserve it.
fart.
I am here, so I deserve this. So, give me a break. But that's why you see what you see on TV these days, which is just a per product. And like I said, AEW has a great roster. A lot of the older guys, veterans. I mean, older as in but the veterans still got it, still know how to do it. And I wish a lot of these younger guys would study them. Tap into their psyche there and try and learn from them. And same thing with WWE. You have the people like Paul Heyman who can teach you how to do a tremendous promo. Cena's going to be around for a little bit longer. People should be tapping into him and AJ Styles and Randy Orton and Roman Reigns and Lesnar's back, and you got those guys who are just veterans and who have it and have proven that they can do it. Why would you not be studying them and bugging them backstage and asking them, hey, give me your opinion on this, hey, do this, so
who knows,
but
though? They might be. We just don't.
Well,
we don't hear about it.
I'm sure there are some, but I know there's a lot that are not. I know there's quite a few that they have their little clique that they hang out with, and they love to show up, find out what they're doing, make some social media posts, have lots of laughs, and once they're done, they're out.
It's unfortunate.
And it is unfortunate. Back in the day, man, everybody be around the monitor backstage watching the matches. Unless you're getting ready for your match. But come that main event, everybody's sitting there. Everybody's watching what's going on. You don't get that now. And you have these delicate feelings, and I don't know if it's veterans can't yell at these guys, but I would sit your ass down and watch this shit.
Yeah.
What the hell do you think you are? Have some respect for the history of this business.
Seriously.
History of this industry. And again, not saying it's everybody, but from my understanding, it's a good number, and that's all it takes to really affect the locker room.
Yeah, because if this guy's not going to watch it, then why would I watch it?
Yeah, or these guys are not putting the time in to practice this or work on this. I'm just going to go hang out with them and have some fun with them, and it's figure it out, man. Just figure it out. But creative has to be better. Creative has to be better on WWE and AEW. Especially AEW. A lot there going on. Like I said, I would change up a ton, and it would be a whole new era, and have nonstop fucking car crashes.
That's it. Just car
to get
crashes.
the ball out. Just car crashes. Nonstop, like holy shit.
We'll have cars in the ring wrestling.
And you can do that with 10 people on the roster. You can do that with 20 people on the roster. All you got to do is be a little creative and figure out how to work segments, work a thread to your show, how you're going to start, how you're going to finish. You can fill the rest in from there. And it's not rocket science, man. It's not. But they want to overcomplicate things and give everybody a spot because everybody needs a spot on the show. That's what's killing it.
It's interesting. Interesting. Well, do you think it's that, or do you think they're trying to just one-up themselves all the time? Or it could be both.
Oh, for sure. Both, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, we did this last week. And that's, you go back and look at ECW. They did the same thing. And this, they couldn't get, a big national like WWE and international. I mean, they were popular, but they were always trying to, well, if the guy went through one table this week, he's got to go through 2 tables next week. Well, 2 tables.
Why don't we make it 3?
Can't go backwards. So let's go 3. And that's why Vince hated all the extreme stuff, is because you can only go so far and then you can't go back.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so you have to, Vince understood that you can only give so much, and that's where you got to cut it off. And then once in a while, give it a little bit more, and then back to where you were. But if you keep giving a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, there's going to be a point where you've gone too far and you can't go back, and
now you're stuck.
And people get tired of that real quick, and you're going to kill your product and your brand, and you no longer have an audience.
It's crazy to see.
And they start yawning and falling asleep like you.
Hey, this is early for me. I'm still recovering. This is my recovery week.
All good. So there you go. But we'll I think we'll catch up now on this week's wrestling.
Hopefully catch up. We also still need to talk about The Thing, the movie The Thing. I don't think you had a chance.
I gotta watch it first.
Yeah.
And then I want to do an episode on JFK.
Okay. Give me some things to watch so that
eventually.
Okay.
Yeah. I got some books, and I got some things for you to watch.
Well, we're approaching the holiday season. Are we gonna do any holiday special things, or should we should we talk about the first appearance of The Undertaker at Survivor Series?
Yeah, we can do that.
Wasn't that on Thanksgiving or something?
It was.
It was the
Survivor Series.
Same one with the egg, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, that's where Taker thought he was going to come out of, but but yeah, no, that would be cool to recap that Survivor Series or any Survivor Series, but yeah, that one especially, considering Brother Love brought him in, I think it was, and yeah, that was crazy. I mean, gosh, I was still a kid, and I remember like thinking, "What the hell is this?" And this is eerie and interesting, and I wasn't a huge fan of it at first, but yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah. I'd
Yeah,
be down.
I should have a Christmas tree up next time we do a show.
Already? It's not even Thanksgiving.
It's November.
All
Good
right.
enough.
Yeah. Yeah. HHN starts in September, so you know what? You got a point.
Thank you. So there we go. All right.
But yeah, I hope that I can get caught up for the next episode, and then we can more so talk about what's going on currently, because last thing I know is the whole Lyra Valkyria and Bailey stuff, and then we got the Rhea Ripley and Io Sky stuff with Asuka and Kairi Sane, and then we have whatever's going on with the Vision. I don't know what's going on with Roman Reigns. Haven't seen him in a minute, but he's on SmackDown, right?
Could be.
Yeah, that's why. But yeah,
That's all I got.
that's all I got too. I mean, yeah, that's it. See you guys. I'm just
All of
kidding.
the day. All of the day.
But no, this has been the Doyledin podcast. It's good to be back. Good to, get back into the swing of things, and just know that from here on out, going full steam ahead, staying Doyled in, and
Do it.
yeah. But anyways, this has been the Doyledin podcast. We hope you have a good day or you have a good night, whatever your time zone may be. Don't forget to always stay Doyled in. Take care, guys.